Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore, Judd Zulgad, and Andrew Kramer. We're out at Winter Park with this fine backdrop of a setting for this week's Vikings video. I want to talk a little bit about Matt Castle and his matchup with the Patriots, also talk some Vikings injuries, and Tom Brady, how the Vikings might be able to slow him down or stop the great one. First one, boys, I was a little surprised to find out that this will be Matt Castle's first matchup with the Patriots since he played for them in his final year in 2008. Judd, in your experience, do players really get up for that kind of a thing, or is that sort of a media creation?
I think it's a media creation at this point. I think if Matt Castle had gone straight from the Patriots to the Vikings and we were within 2 years or so, that's a bit different. But Matt Castle has gone from a backup with the Patriots to a sudden boy wonder star type player to the Chiefs in a Pro Bowl, and then getting hurt with the Chiefs and being booed off the field. And by now, I'd say that Matt Castle is serving his role as probably a journeyman quarterback here. I gotta think, Andrew, that playing the Patriots, yeah, he wants to beat them, but it's not a huge deal to him.
Yeah, he's been through enough ups and downs in his career since he left. I mean, even Tom Brady talked about it at his press conference, how they're friends, they go golfing, sure, whatever, but at this point, they're not necessarily competitors outside of Sunday, and I don't think they have any ill will toward each other at all.
Yeah. Apparently, Castle said this morning in his press conference that they're still buddies. They golf, like you mentioned, Andrew, and they call every other week, but I think it'd be safe to say they're probably not going to call each other this week to deal with it. You mentioned Brady, though, Andrew, so I want to bring up the story that you just wrote for 1500ESPN.com about how the Miami Dolphins were able to get pressure on Brady in week one, and that's what the NFL is about now, try and pressure the quarterback and make him make quick decisions. Even with a guy like Brady, do you think the Vikings could have success getting in the backfield?
Well, that's why Everson Griffin's a $42.5 million man, because it's there's so much of a premium now on defensive ends and just being able to get to the quarterback with just your down lineman. And that's exactly what Miami did with Cameron Wake and their front four rush. They sacked Tom Brady 4 times. 3 of those were just with a 4-down rush. 3 of those also came on 3rd down. And Brady was terrible in that second half. They went into halftime with a 20-10 lead. Miami was able then at half to turn that around, take the lead, and help Brady just 50 passing yards. And that was really off of only a front 4 pass rush. And so really with Mike Zimmer and the Vikings, what they want to try and do is get the same pressure with all the guys that they just paid in the past calendar year with Brian Robeson, Everson Griffin, and now Linval Joseph. And those guys showed they can get after the quarterback last week against the Rams. Linval Joseph had a sack, Everson Griffin had 2. They show they can get after the quarterback, and I think they want to probably do a similar thing instead of bring combo blitzes and other kind of stuff that they saw against St. Louis.
Now, the thing that intrigued me, Kramer, was this as well. The Patriots traded Logan Mankins, their longtime veteran guard, during training camp, and that's typical Belichick hubris, which is, if you want a new contract, or I don't like you now and I used to like you, I'm going to move you. Randy Moss, Mankins. But in that first game, Patriots had a rotation of offensive linemen. And I will say this, in the National Football League, you can get away with doing a lot of things, but the one place where continuity is absolutely usually crucial is the offensive line. So if they come in again to TCF Bank Stadium and attempt to rotate their offensive linemen, I like the Vikings' chances of getting pressure with just that front 4.
Most definitely, yeah. I think they could easily do that, obviously because they're at full strength, but that's only if Sharif Floyd ends up playing. So we got a few injury updates. Derek, I'll pass that back to you.
Oh, sure, yeah. Of course, Sharif Floyd left late in Sunday's game with a shoulder injury, and Xavier Rhodes also missed a little bit of time with groin injury. But he returned to play, and neither of those guys practiced today. I talked to Rhodes with a group of reporters today, and he says he thinks he'll be good, but of course the player's always going to say he thinks he'll be good. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, though, Andrew, you were saying before the video, I might be surprised to see those guys Sunday.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've seen it happen before. Players have sat all week, came back Friday, were limited, and then played Sunday. But for a second-year guy like Xavier Rhodes, you probably want to get a little bit more time under his belt just to see where his injury is at. That's the key thing. You can test it by running and all that stuff, but until you get into a team drill and actually get to practice, you're not necessarily going to make those football moves with a groin injury. And it's kind of a concern with Xavier Rhodes. He was dinged up last year. He missed 3 games to injuries. So to see him hurt in the first season, the season opener for his second year, that's got to be a concern for this Vikings team. And hopefully they can get him back. But if they have to, it might be worth shutting him down just to make sure he's healthy moving forward.
So if that happens too, Andrew, how does the Patriots' game plan potentially change? Because in 2006, Brad Childress, in his first year, the Vikings at 4-2, they had just gone and won in Seattle, and people were saying, this team's pretty good. Halloween night, Patriots come in here, and the Patriots say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to spread you out, and we are going to pass and pass and pass. If the Vikings don't have Rhodes, you then have Jabari Price playing more, and that might be fine, but here's the problem. What's the depth behind him? So if you're the Patriots, if Rhodes doesn't play, don't you just spread guys out and say, we're going to attempt to throw the ball, and if we can, by the time we get basically to your dime package, or we spread you out like that, passing-wise, the Vikings could be in big trouble.
Yeah, for New England's game plan, obviously in that loss against Miami, they wanted to counteract the pass rush, which is what I kind of expect them to do in this Minnesota game. But if you're hurt in the secondary and Xavier Rhodes isn't playing, well, you might want to go shotgun, spread it out, and take a few more chances that you might get hit by Everson Griffin if you can complete a pass over a rookie like Jabari Price. So it does change the game plan quite a bit. And guys like the backups like Josh Robinson, Jabari Price, they're not press corners. They're not going to reroute anybody.
Marcus Sherrill's next after that.
Marcus is there, and then I think Sean Prater was a healthy scratch, and so he's at the bottom of that depth chart. But again, the backups behind Xavier are not the kind of press corners like Captain and Xavier that are going to stunt routes and reroute them and give more time to the D-line. So it really kind of puts them behind the eight ball in terms of if you have those rookies and young guys out there, that gives Tom Brady a lot to pick apart.
If he gets to pick his receiver, that could be a long day for the Vikings secondary. Judd, was that the blueprint game, the infamous blueprint game, where the Patriots they gave everyone this is how you beat the Vikings this season?
The Vikings with Mike Tomlin, who was then about 33, 34 years old, was their defensive coordinator.
Sure.
We're 4-2. The Patriots put the blueprint down, and I think the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, went to play Miami the next week.
Okay.
And Miami had something like 60 yards rushing, and they still won because they didn't care about running the football. That's the difference. I will say this. Even if the Patriots come in and say, okay, if Rhodes doesn't play, we can pass the ball, the difference is I do think that this is a pretty well-coached team. Mike Zimmer, if he knows that Rhodes is not going to play, Mike Zimmer is not going to grab his head and say, oh, we're done. He'll come up with something, but it's just far from ideal.
Yeah, well, Sharif Floyd is going to be important for that respect, too. I mean, even just in stopping the run game, having that three-tech on the line without having to move other guys around to sort of fill his holes. So
yeah,
both of those will be important guys to see if they play.
And with the Vikings, they have a capable backup at Tom Johnson at the three technique, but after that, there is nobody. You just have Shamar Stephen. So, and they already have a six-man D-line rotation going that they want to keep going. And if Sharif can't go, that cuts into that rotation, and you're relying on Tom Johnson then. For the
Gents, here's the key to the game. The Patriots' run defense is not very good. If you're the Vikings, you run the ball with Adrian Peterson. You don't give up the ball. You sit on the ball. You eat clock. And every once in a while, you go deep down the field to Cordero Patterson. That's how you win this football game. You don't give the Patriots the football. You like
not only an armchair general manager, also an armchair game planner.
I just came up, Mike Zimmer. I just gave you the game plan. It's Wednesday.
Hey, Norv Turner, you can shut it down.
Are you listening?
We got it.
Exactly. Right. Just head to Brits. Meet me there. We'll be drinking the rest of the week, Norv.
Impressive stuff, Judd.
I gotta go.
All right, that's the breakdown, a preview for the Patriots. Andrew and I are about to go record a Purple podcast too, so we'll have plenty of stuff on the Patriots, but also some analysis of the Vikings. If you didn't catch our previous Purple Podcast, it's still up on the website. Go to the show page at the top, scroll down to Purple Podcast, and we got a breakdown from the Rams game. So plenty of good stuff on that if you like following the Vikings. Andrew Kramer, Judd Zulgad, Derek Wetmore from Winter Park. We'll catch you next time.